And then also, sorry about my end. I'm in a hostel, and this was literally the only place I could take a call. So there's a little bit of chaos going on around me, but it just adds to the vibe.
He's he worked doing TEFL online in hostels, and yeah, we get
Yeah,
it.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
okay, cool. Yeah. It's definitely there's a certain vibe to hostel life, but this one's pretty good. The guy actually lives on the property, and so he maintains it while everybody's living here. So everything's super clean and usually quite quiet, except when I'm taking a call. Um, Okay, cool. So, first of all, I just want to ask you guys a little bit about Workaway itself. Like, how did you guys discover Workaway in the first place? Who told you about it? Where'd you read about it? What was that like?
Oh, I don't know where we heard about it.
I've known about it for years,
Yeah.
for like 8 or 9 years now. I have other friends who've used it.
We
Not
meet a
that
lot of
one.
people in hostels, so
Yeah.
just word of mouth, I guess. And
Hmm.
because Roxy got a sabbatical for a year, so we decided to go traveling. We were thinking, how can we,
Fund
spend a
it.
year?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
how can we manage to not
Hmm.
let all our savings? We can try and work. And also because if you're just traveling for a year, I personally wanted to be able to have some routine. So maybe going to work would be nice and doing that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then we found the reason why we actually got a membership to it, and we're like, okay, we're definitely doing a workbook, was for the one place that we booked. Um, and we were like, this place seems perfect for us. It was a little animal sanctuary. We're both vegans, so we were like taking care of the animals in the day, and then in the evening you get to look after the goats. I was like, and you get free food as well there. I was like, a month, wasn't it? In
yeah.
a month
Anyway, yeah, that's
was
that's why
great.
Okay,
we
Yeah.
yeah.
that's why
Yeah,
we
yeah.
found it.
Well, that's cool. So you guys had already seen the listing for that place in Greece before you even bought a membership, and then you bought a membership
Yeah,
with going there specifically in mind.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's quite the
Mm.
Yes,
turnaround then in
exactly.
terms of how things turned out. Well, we'll definitely dig into
Yeah.
that. We'll definitely dig into the host itself. First of all, and then the next question I just have about Workaway in general. So what were you guys hoping to get out of it just outside of like saving money? Did you guys have any sort of like interpersonal connection hopes or hopes of a networking opportunity? What else was there in it?
Yeah, I mean, they talked about doing some language exchange stuff. They said, um, well, we administer medicines and things like that to the animals. So if you want to shadow us doing that and learn this kind of thing, we'll demonstrate that for you. And we both want to work with animals in the future.
Yeah.
So we thought this will be perfect. We'll put this on our CV. It's going to be great. We'll get
Hmm.
the training, that kind of thing.
I see. And so were you originally thinking about using Workaway at this place in Greece because it was an animal shelter and then bouncing into another Workaway from there, or using Workaway somewhat sporadically through your year off? What was that like?
Yeah, somewhat sporadically, because we were like, you know what, if this one goes well, hopefully and I started looking up a load of other ones. I was like, this one looks so great, and how about this one? And there was another one somewhere else that had a similar layout, and so we were like, okay, well, if that one works well, this one should also work well because there's a few animal sanctuaries on there. So we were like, this
Mm-hmm.
would be great.
Mm-hmm. Um, it definitely would have been great because the
Yeah.
site, it feels like to me at least, it promises so much. And I was really excited to use it as well. So I feel your disappointment.
Where was
Um,
your
sorry?
where was yours?
Yeah, so the first one, funny enough, I actually did have a good experience. I was with a Dutch couple in Germany. They bought a train station and they were renovating the train station. So I was doing a lot of hands-on work up there. They were fantastic. Really, really cool couple. And the train station itself was lovely. And so working on that was just a joy, right? Because you're working in this old 2nd-century train station, building different things every day, painting walls, throwing crap out, and then you get like free coffee because they have a cafe in the bottom of the train station. And it was such a real treat. And then my two bad experiences, they were both in the Netherlands. So the one was in the south of the Netherlands and the one was in the north. And actually, it's funny because when the south one went wrong, I basically left that to go north to a second Workaway there, which I was hoping was going to be better. And then that proved to be even worse. So that's when I was like, okay, it's
Oh,
time for me to do something about this because clearly there's something wrong in the system. It's not just that I had a one-off. It seems to be a pattern of people being taken advantage of. And when I actually looked on the site, I was pretty amazed to find that it's so difficult to find any negative feedback about any host. And it was probably because of what I've been experiencing. So that's basically what I'm trying to investigate is Was it just me that got unlucky, or is it that people are actually being led into these situations?
Well, we found
We have a theory.
another website called World Packers, and
Hmm.
we found our animal sanctuary on there, and it had more honest reviews on there. Like
Hmm.
ones that
That matched what because
We
we found
were-
this after we got there and after we realized it
Okay.
was bad, and then we're like, oh, okay, this is what we actually experienced.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we thought, is it just us that we just being fussy or something?
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
so we got there and
So
there was
let me make sure the setup is right. So basically, like Roxy, you had got a sabbatical, and then
Yeah.
James, you also took that year with her to go traveling.
Yeah, I quit my job and just
Okay, great.
yeah,
That's a fuck yeah moment.
they gave him a
so-
sabbatical and he said no, I don't want it.
You were just out of there, eh?
yeah.
Okay, that's sweet. So you two, the world travelers, you pack up and then you plot your first trip to Greece is basically the start of your sabbatical.
No.
We lived in Barcelona for a couple of months.
Okay.
We did a road trip through France and then back.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
It was in Barcelona. We started looking at the workaways and
Mm.
we found this one in Greece. And then and then I did some solo travel. And then we said, you know what, we'll meet back up and we'll go our way to Greece to this workaway. And because we booked it for a month, we're like, you know what, this was maybe like 5 months into our workaway. And we're like, we've not worked up for a while. However bad it might be, we've got to at least stick out like 2 weeks. We've got to stick it out. Our turnaround time was 24 hours, babe. Like we were out of there.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
you guys had planned, was this November, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think if I remember correctly, that's when the review was written. So you guys you had a plan to be there for a month. And if you couldn't stay a month, at least hold out and persist for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the turnaround time ended up being 24 hours. So just tell me your story. I would love to hear the whole thing from front to back, what you experienced on that place.
Well, when we arrived, we were kind of taken in and we were shown to this little house where there was another workaway, and he was basically told to tell us everything. And I was like, well, shouldn't it be the host's job to tell us everything? It can't be like full on another workaway.
What was the name of that other workawayer?
I don't remember.
No.
Do you remember them?
No, we do. We have an Instagram though. We are friends on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I actually might have his name right here.
Wasn't booked through him.
Yeah, I think he used a friend's account or something.
Oh,
It says-
okay. Well, I wonder if you recognize this name. Just give me 1 second here. I'm really curious. Because there was one other review that was semi-honest on your dog sanctuary there. That was 3 stars and it didn't get censored. And she mentioned two people, Thomas and Diamanto.
They were the hosts.
They're the hosts.
They are the hosts. I see. Okay. So the person you're talking about, this workaway helper, is unrelated.
No, unrelated.
Okay. Yeah.
So they was meant to tell us everything, and we just sat down on the sofa, and they seemed really nice, and they were really nice. Then we were
said,
like, what's it like? And they were like,
said, how honest do you want this to be? And we were like, well, we're here for a month, so like we need full disclosure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Pandora's box open.
Yeah.
Like they clearly had some need to talk about it all, and it was like
We talked for like half an hour nonstop, and it was pretty much all bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
felt
God.
sorry for them because they arrived and they didn't really have any money. So
Yeah.
they were going to leave, and then another person turned up who we didn't meet, and they got on really well, but the other person they just had the money for the flight there and the flight home. So they had no option of leaving. So the guy we met decided to stay with them because they were he didn't want to leave them on their own, and they were getting on really well. So then
Also,
after
the location is not where it says. It says it's like 20 minutes from a main kind of city or town. It's not. I'd say half-hour walk to a 3 streets and a church type of village. Like literally nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. And then it's about a 2-hour bus to get to the city.
yeah,
That's
they were
wild.
kind of giving us
Yeah.
the address, but
Yeah.
they didn't.
They
They
didn't
wanted.
even give us the address on the day. They were
So
just
how
like,
did you
oh,
get to their place in the first place?
you get this bus and then you get off here and then like this is
Oh,
where
okay.
I sent a message for updates. So like, now walk to the end of the road. Now turn right. We're like,
there's a big warehouse opposite the warehouse. And
Yeah.
I was like, why can't, and I kept thinking like I needed to give my parents my coordinates. Like, where are you?
Huh.
anyway, yeah. So the past two people got stuck there because they couldn't afford to leave, basically.
And this guy
So-
that you met is one of those people?
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they
yeah.
had their flight booked at the end, and they were just relying on that for
I
like food.
see. And so were you saying so simultaneously he was having a bad experience, but also got along with the host?
No, he got along with the other volunteer. That's
Oh,
why
I
they
see what
stayed.
you mean. Okay, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so what was his name, if you don't mind me asking?
So we don't remember his name. We've got his Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I
yeah.
can probably
I'll
give
have
it
a
you
look after
later.
and try-
Yeah.
try
Okay,
find-
cool. Yeah, yeah. We can figure that out after. And so he was somebody that you ended up linking up with Instagram, and then that other person who was there had already left before you guys arrived.
A couple of days
Okay.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. And so he didn't or did get along with the host, the person who had abandoned the project.
The other person, no, she really didn't. She had a really bad time.
She cried.
Oh, wow.
A few days. Yeah.
Was her name Jacqueline?
No.
No.
No, it
Okay.
was something Irish. She wasn't Irish, but
Yeah.
she was. It was something
Oh,
Irish.
okay. Oh, and I got the dates confounded. You guys went, it looks like you wrote your review in late May of this year.
We went in May. We booked it in November.
Okay, yeah, yeah. There's the other review. I was getting confused. The other review that's more honest, but it's 3 stars is November of 23. Okay, so then just keep going. You guys meet this person. They tell you 30 minutes of bad stuff.
Yeah.
What's going through
Okay.
your minds?
We were like, we hope this person is just like, I don't know, not wanting to do work, and maybe they're lazy and stuff, but we weren't getting that kind of impression from them. They seemed
They-
really cool and
they
down
seemed
to earth.
honest as
So we were
well.
like, yeah, this seems like bad news. but-
Also, so we walk in and we instantly see there's a dog chained to a car. This car's been there for like probably a decade. It's growing trees
Yeah.
out of it, whatever. But the dog's chained to the car. And then you've got to walk through this whole like yard of 50 dogs and then walk through another yard of 50 dogs. And they're all getting riled up because we're all like new people and they're just
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
and the host is kind of maybe yelling at us to like just keep walking, don't stop, don't pet the dogs, don't do anything, don't give them attention, and then just gets us home, like to their little section, and then we walk in and it's completely filthy and disorganized and really just not like
Mhm.
So as we're sat there and we're listening to this guy tell us about his experience, I obviously have to think, okay, well, there must be some truth to it. Because
Mm. Just the first impression of the place didn't feel great to
Yeah.
you. I see. And so this guy told you a story. You guys had already also had kind of a bad first impression, looking at the way that the situation was handled with the dogs and the host kind of yelling at you. So you finished talking to this guy, and then where do things go from there?
I think after that we went out to herd the goats and stuff like that. The host came and they told us like a couple of things, like, oh, here's a fridge, here's a freezer.
Yeah.
Turn the electric off before you use the shower because you can get electrocuted if you don't. And you will see you first thing tomorrow morning. And we were like, okay, this is fine. We can do this. So we went out, we herded some goats, and then we just went to sleep, didn't we? Got up super early for our morning shift,
Mhm.
which is like feeding dogs, cleaning up the poop, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And what
It was
time was
just-
that? What time was the morning shift?
it was just before sunrise.
Yeah,
I think.
like
Okay, yeah.
Right,
6,
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
5 or 6.
But like their management style, I've only described it as micromanaging with chaos, like, and just hypocrisy. So like, for example, I would put all the dog poop in one bag and they would say to me, okay, just come over here, I want to show you something. And I'd say, do you want me to leave the bag here or do you want me to move it? And they'd say, no, leave the bag there, just come with me here. And then I would go with them, they'd show me something, I'd come back, the bag is obviously still there. And then they're like, who left this bag here? And I'm like, you told me to leave the bag here. And I asked you, they're like, no, you can't leave the bag there. That's not okay. They tried to show us how to use a dustpan and brush. Like, I don't know if you've ever used a dustpan and brush, but it's a very simple.
I mean, a couple times in my life,
It's a very simple, low-tech gadget, okay?
Yeah. No, I get it. And so they literally tried to teach you this?
Yes.
That's not an English expression that I don't understand.
They showed it.
That's
They
hilarious.
showed it. And they were like, have you ever used one of these?
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, and also I said no, because I thought this can't be a dustpan and brush. This must be like some fancy new thing. Like,
Sure.
So she was like, will you use it like this? And I was like, oh, okay. I see you've never used it because your house is filthy. That's why you're questioning if I've ever used it.
You didn't say that. We might have said that later on, but we didn't.
Yeah, no, I know. You're just thinking it. Yeah. And so their house was filthy, and in what way was it filthy outside of the fact that you might have gotten electrocuted if you didn't?
Yeah, that was bad. We when you collect the dog poop, for some reason they made you carry it through the house.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
One of the dog areas was behind, like in the garden behind. So you wanted to grab a bag to put all the dog poop in.
Yeah.
And the owner Thomas was like, no, you have to like bring it through on the pan, like the dustpan and brush.
Yeah.
You've got to bring it through. And you walk past the kitchen because there's an open, like it's a little area. So you've got the kitchen, the lounge or living area, and then the back door. And I was like, that's not.
And there must be a lot of dog food to pick up if they have that many dogs.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yikes.
And then they straight just after they've like done that and they clean the water bowl out just with their hands, and then they just go wash their hands in the sink where we cook and stuff, and like it's all the same cloths and everything. And yeah.
She was using the same.
Can you actually describe that process of how they would handle the dog poop on their animal shelter from start to finish? Again, from how when you pick up dog poop to them washing their hands and using the same towel. Can you re-describe that?
Okay, yeah. So you pick it up, you get like a long handled dustpan and a rake, and then you carry it through the like the kitchen, house, living area, and you put it in the bag outside. And then you come back in and wash your hands in like everything. But
also there was
did you rinse the dustpan in the sink too, or do you just leave the dustpan?
No, not the dustpan, but
okay, yeah.
You don't rinse the dustpan. You don't clean the dustpan.
Yeah. So what was it about you? Oh, you were saying you wash your hands in the sink, but you weren't washing any of the materials itself.
Well, yeah, because they like when they clean out the bowls that they drink from, because it's really hot, so it gets all this green kind of algae. They clean that out with their hands, and then like
their bare hands. We bought gloves. We bought like we went with a lot of work boots and gloves, and we were ready to work. And then as on the first day I was wearing my gloves and I went to shake her hand. I was like, "Hi, I'm Roxy." And she's like, "Why are you wearing gloves?"
Oh,
I was like, "Because I'm handling dogs." And she's like, No, we don't use gloves because of contamination, because it's easier to get contamination. So you just bare hand. And then her husband showed me that there was staled, caked on piss or urine on the dog bowl, and he just like scraped it off with his fingernails.
Yeah, and then you wash your hands in the sink, and and they were sweeping the dog poo and putting it in the bags, and she literally had that, and then she put it down to go and stir the food, which is cooking like next to it, like in this outside kitchen they've got, and then like just went back to doing the poop and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we were like, oh,
honestly, do a whole documentary on this place. Like, please go book yourself there. like it would be great content.
No, it sounds almost like a weird Mr. Beast video or something, like went to insane workaway where they have absolutely no sanitary standards, see how long somebody can live, like.
Yeah.
We can probably send you some pictures of like the outside oven. He thought it looked like a skip or like just ready for trash. And I was like, no, babe, I think that's the oven. And he was like, no, that's just rubbish, babe. I was like, and then that evening when she was cooking on it, It was not
Wow.
rubbish.
Okay, so the day of, you guys basically you were starting your gig, you were being micromanaged. You also saw how uncleanly things were as the day went on. Was there a specific, or actually before I get to that, was there anything else during the day that happened before you were like, I'm out of here?
When he yelled at us for the
Oh yeah, with the goats, yeah. Okay, yeah. So we were out herding the goats, and the goats start going towards the dog enclosure. So we start to like get the goats away because the
also it's
dogs are
just a
getting,
chain link fence. There's like you can see inside it, so the goats can see the dogs,
Mm-mm.
and they get each other kind of riled up.
yeah. So we're like, okay, we'll move the goats away because the dogs are getting angry, the goats getting angry. Let's move them away. And the guy kept coming out, Thomas,
Thomas.
right? He kept coming out and shouting at us. It's like, don't do that, don't. And we're like, we're just moving them away. He's like, no, leave the goats. So we're like, okay. But then they kept getting more angry. They started like ramming into the fence. The dogs are like, charging at them. So then he comes out and he's like, why did you let this happen? We're like, because he said
To not
to
move them. You
yeah.
said don't move them.
So this happened a few times, and it was getting worse and worse each time, to the point where you got rammed,
Yeah.
the goats got in the dog enclosure, a dog got rammed by a goat with some big horns. Thomas came out, he had to kick one of the goats in the head to get it away from the dogs. And this took like half an hour or an hour or something. And then he went back inside and they started going over to the thing again. And we were like,
Stop going back inside. They,
yeah.
like,
And then he came
Oh,
out.
I see. So Thomas wasn't even able to solve this problem himself. You guys tried to fix it.
he would
Yeah.
solve it for like 10 seconds. And then as soon as it was okay, he'd be like, all right, I'm going to go now. And then they would just start again.
Yeah. And we were like,
Yeah.
we don't want to hurt each other. We can just move them. It's
But you
kinda
wouldn't want
easy.
us to move them just like 20 meters away.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, this is a big open grass field, like very,
It was like an acre or more.
yeah. So they had plenty of other space.
It was so weird.
I
Really
see.
weird.
Yeah. Wow. And so, so you guys also experienced this phenomenon where basically the host isn't letting you try to solve problems on the property, where there's clearly tension and conflict and stress.
Yeah.
You're trying to help and fix it and do your job, and then he's yelling at you for that. He doesn't really solve it because he fixes it for 10 seconds, then he leaves again, the problem starts up again, and then you feel like you're helpless because you know you can't do anything because you've already been told off and yelled at. Is that right?
Edwin, you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
That's brutal. So then what happened after that? Was there anything more that happened during your experience there?
Yeah, one other thing was they said they provide meals. That's part of the deal. You work and you get the accommodation and the meals. The other workawayers said they didn't eat there because they were scared of getting sick. So they went out into town and they bought food and they showed us where they went to get food. So they weren't getting any food from us at all.
24 hours I was there. I didn't drink any water because I'd had a bottle of water before I arrived, that I bought. So I just used that the whole time. Other than that, I didn't have a single extra bit because they said that their water was clean. However, when feeding the cats, they needed bottled water. I was like, well, what's wrong with the water that you're giving cats, the bottled filtered water? It just felt completely unclean. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to drink anything. I only ate when we went out to this little town and we grabbed some food. Yeah.
The hours were way more than they were meant to be as well. And you don't really get 2 days off a week. They're like, okay, you can get 2 days off, but you've got to do 5 days first, and then we need you for the weekend, and then you've got to have separate days and can't overlap. So we're like, okay, so we work 11 days, and then we might get 1 day off at a time. Is it like that? And they were like, well, yeah.
The other workaway, the girl that we didn't see, but this guy told us about, she'd worked, was it 2 or 3 weeks without getting a day off, and she had to fight for her day off. And the workaway that we saw only had, I think he worked there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he only had 2 days off.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when she took a day off, 2 of the dogs got into a fight, and one of them was bleeding. Apparently, we didn't see it, and he had to stitch it up. And then she got blamed for that because either because she wasn't there or she was there. Apparently it kept changing the story, but either way, that was her fault. Everything was someone else's fault. And we were like, we're just trying to help you because we care about the animals. It's not about who's right or wrong. We're just, we see a problem, we're just saying, we're not.
Yeah, for us at the end of the day, we went there because we wanted to look after animals. We care about animals. And then when we saw how they were treated, especially with like someone kicking a goat or just dogs fighting at each other. Didn't you say that there was the dogs were fighting?
Oh yeah, yeah. They said, tell us if the dogs fight. And there were these two dogs and they were growling, they were biting each other. So I told the guy, it's like, there's dogs fighting over there. He's like, no, they're not. I was like, they are? He's like, which ones? I was like, those ones. He's like, no.
You knew whichever ones you pointed out. Well,
yeah,
he was gonna say, doesn't matter.
I was like, it's biting the dog. And he was like, it's not biting it, is it? I was like, yeah, it is, but I guess
he has to be like, that dog, that dog.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
I don't know about that. And I was like, do you want to go check or anything? Yeah.
Holy smokes. 24 hours, eh? You experienced all of that.
Yeah. So
that is wild. I didn't realize it was actually so much. I mean, I couldn't realize because your review was censored. Before we get to that, I wanted to just do a time check. It's already what's 8 o'clock for me. It'd be what, 7 o'clock for you?
Yeah.
How are you guys doing on time? Do you have another half an hour?
Yeah,
we're
fine.
Okay, perfect. Well then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop this call because I'm on the free Zoom version. So it's gonna kick us off in about 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna click end, but then in like 10 seconds, just use the same link and then open it up again. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Round 2. So to wrap up your experience at the dog shelter, how did you guys leave? Not logistically, I don't need to know about the bus routes. What was the interaction with the host like? What was the specific moment you were like, I'm gonna peace out of here?
I was scared to leave because I thought we have to leave through the dog compound. So my thoughts were, why don't we chuck the suitcases over the fence and just climb over to avoid talking to them?
Because you have to walk through the dogs to get out, you're kind of trapped in. So if they see it, like if we do that, they're going to see us with our suitcases. So we had to confront.
Yeah, we needed to have their help to get out of the enclosure.
Yeah.
But I felt like they possibly wouldn't help us, or they'd be very slightful.
We were kind of scared there'd be a confrontation. And the other workawayer, they still couldn't afford to leave because they needed them to drive them to the airport and they couldn't afford a hostel. So we felt bad about leaving them. We were thinking, do we maybe just, pay for them to get a taxi and a night in a hostel? But then it turns out one of their friends loaned them money so they could do that. So all three of us left together.
We sent them out first because although their relationship was a bit tenuous, it was better than ours. So they went out and they were like, oh, so by the way, as you know, I'm leaving tomorrow anyway, and I'm not working tomorrow. So I thought I'll just leave today. And they were like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Thank you very much, blah, blah. And then on the back of that, we'd already had our bags packed. And then I just said, we're also going to leave. Thanks. So yeah, I mean, my mum was worried and my parents were like, you just get out of there. You don't turn it back at all. Because I'd explained everything that had happened and they were like, don't even bother staying there. Pack your bags, make sure you got your passport, just get out of there. So
but it was just Thomas that was there. Diamante was out, so we got out, we caught the bus, and then Diamante got home and she called us and asked us about it. So we basically said to her what we just said to you right now. We just said everything. And we said, it's not personal. We're just telling you the truth because you deserve to know that. They didn't take it very well, to be honest.
Yeah, they didn't take it well over the phone.
Well, because we said to Thomas in person, like, thank you for the experience. It's clearly not. I tried to be really polite about it, and I tried to not burn bridges, and I wanted to just be like, this is our first workaway. I'm really sorry. I guess it's not cut out for us. I apologize. I'm gonna leave. And I kind of put it on myself a bit. Even shook his hand as I left. And I was like, thank you. Bye. Then as we got to the bus station and Diamanto calls us, well, I answer the phone, and again, I'm trying to be a bit polite, not burn bridges, but I'm just like, oh, I guess we weren't really qualified for it. But you hear this, and then you're always so patient. He's always such a patient person, but he really couldn't accept how the dogs and goats were being treated and all the other animals there. So he just said, this is your fault. We tried to help you. We tried to explain to you how we need to just move the goats to not, I got rammed. Like, that's not okay. Other dogs got rammed. That's not okay. If we were able to move them away, maybe we could have also been okay, and all the other issues. And she just said, oh, maybe it's a language barrier. We're like, it's not a language barrier. Like, this is action, not words.
Yeah, that's sad. It sounds like you guys really tried your best to not burn bridges and to just leave, on neutral terms, let bygones be bygones and move on.
Yeah.
Sounds like they didn't receive that very well. And so it sounds like they also didn't receive it well when you left a review. So I'm curious to get into that a little bit. So you guys finally got out of there. You decided to leave a review. And did you know at the time of leaving a review that your host could see it first before they left one?
No, I don't think I did.
I think we did.
Did you?
Yeah, because we said we were careful about how we worded it, so they couldn't just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
because we saw the way they'd replied to other reviews and made the person just seem lazy or whatever. So we were like, we've got to be really careful that they can't just do that, because
we even worded it in such a way that's like, this is constructive feedback. It's not an attack. Like, we just want to give people the facts so they're not blindsided when they go. But because, as James says, we read other reviews where people would say similar things, and then they would just attack and be like, this is yours. They didn't want to work. They came not wanting this, blah, blah, blah.
And so the review that you guys ended up submitting, do you by any chance have a copy of that?
We will do somewhere. I think we probably will, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in our notes.
Sure.
I can
If you end up finding a copy, I would love to see it. But in any case, it sounds like you put in effort to try and make it constructive and to make sure it's not insulting, but just direct feedback.
Again, I personally was still trying not to burn a bridge. I don't know why. I'm never going back there. I'm never I don't like conflict. So I was like, I don't want it to come across rude.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, we had another reason, because the other workawayer, they fell in love with a dog there and they wanted to adopt them and, rescue them from that place. So we didn't want to burn the bridge for that reason as well, because we didn't want to ruin that person's chances of getting the dog. If we fell out with them, maybe they'd think.
Gotcha. Yeah. You're just playing it safe for everybody. So then, so you guys left your review, and then what did it look like from the perspective of dealing with Workaway? So you left your review, and then how did Workaway contact you about the negative review that you had left for your host?
They hadn't.
No, we just checked on our account, and one day we saw, oh, we got a review back, and we clicked on it and we couldn't see it. And then we realized our review had gone as well.
So you never got any contact from Workaway saying that your review had been censored by the platform?
No. No, we contacted them to ask them about it, because we said we raised safeguarding concerns because people were potentially being exploited there, and they didn't provide the food that they said, and it didn't match the pictures, and they didn't tell us where the location was.
If you're two workawayers, like the two before us, that they get there, they can't afford to leave. So they have to stay there. They're being exploited for that. So we were raising those safeguarding concerns from humans. We were raising the safeguarding concerns of the animals. You contacted Workaway directly, saying all of these things as well, not just on the comment, but directly saying this is not okay.
Yeah.
And so when you guys contacted Workaway, what did they say to you about your review?
I've got it here actually, because I said to them, I checked the feedback policy and it says they remove abusive, offensive comments. And I said ours weren't abusive or offensive. It was just we were raising a concern. And they said, if bad feedback is left by the reviewer or a host, it's our policy to publish a negative feedback rating and keep the comments for our records. So I think they mean they publish a star rating and they just keep the comments to themselves. Thank you for understanding this issue.
Oh, I see. So they basically just restated the policy that's written on the website, because I remember reading those words on their policy outline policy. So they never specifically outlined what about your review was abusive, insulting, or offensive.
No, we asked them to, but they didn't.
But
Okay.
that also says is the policy, whether it's the host or the workaway. So the host might have said something. We never got any email or any notification that the host had left a comment. Because I asked them, am I able to see it just myself? And they said they're not able to do that. But I want to know what they said. It's about me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was actually one of the next things I was going to ask. So you never got an email about the host leaving a 1-star review. You just checked your profile one day and you saw it was there. And you never were contacted. Were you ever contacted by Workaway about the fact that you received a negative review and your profile had essentially now been labeled negative?
No.
No,
Okay. And then the next question I have is, when you guys look in your profile and when you're logged into Workaway, can you see a red badge on your profile?
I've not been on Workaway since that whole experience. Like I can't even log in anymore.
No, I'm sure you don't want to be on there. The reason I'm asking is because they specifically have a part outlined in their policy where they say, if a host or Workaway is online, meaning they have a paid account, and they have received a bad feedback, the negative feedback will be shown on their profile. Workawayers cannot remove this symbol once it has been published. And so I was wondering if you had a specific, outside of just 1 star, I was wondering if there's any other symbols on your profile when you're logged in.
No,
Okay.
we have, okay, it's like this.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It just looks normal.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see that. Okay, so maybe that's an old feature. They might just not have updated the policy then. So do you guys have the original contact with the Workaway team when you reached out to them? The emails or that message thread?
Yeah, we still have that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Would you be able to forward me that if I sent you my email address? Could I get a copy of that? Okay, that's beautiful. Oh, you guys are rock stars. This is great. Okay, so the next is just to wrap things up. Have you tried to use Workaway at all since you had this experience in Greece?
So
No.
we considered it when we were there in Greece. There was another animal sanctuary about.
Hey, sorry. I'm gonna have to move my operation here. Give me a second.
Okay.
That's fine.
Something called operational video today.
Underground. Yeah, well, somebody else is taking, sorry, there's language barrier with the host here.
That's okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's difficult at this hostel. He doesn't speak English at all. So whenever there's a problem, it's very difficult to express things. So I actually had to prepare a Google Translate thing before we to make sure he wouldn't move me because I knew he was going to ask. But anyway, okay. So you guys, I'll just ask the question again. Have you guys wanted to use Workaway since receiving your 1-star review?
So when we were there in Greece, there was another animal sanctuary about an hour away that had basically the same layout. Like in the morning you look after the dogs, in the afternoon you look after the goats. you get some free food. So you were really keen because you thought we've come all the way to Greece, like we've traveled the Balkans all the way to get there purposely for this workaway. And we'd scheduled a month of our time. That was a lot of money that if we don't work, we're gonna have to make up somehow. But I couldn't do it because I thought this place has that layout. If this other place is gonna have the same layout, I just can't. And we actually got contacted by a few people like, hey, do you want to, like, I see that you're in the area, do you want to do this? But I just said no. No, I'm done with it, I think.
That was the
Yeah.
only other time we thought about using it, but that was before we got the review. After
I
we got
see,
the review,
okay.
definitely not.
Yeah. So you guys didn't even try to reach out to any other hosts after you had that review?
No.
No, okay. Do you think if you reached out to any other hosts, anybody would host you?
I don't think so. And
No.
if they did, I'd question why.
Yeah.
So I would
Ooh.
have less faith in them because if I were a host and I saw some people coming at me with 1 star, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. We've got 1 review and it's really bad. Why would they want us? Why can't they get someone that's got
It's the
5
same thing like
stars?
a hostel. If you look at a hostel and it's only got 1 star and it's that one thing, you're not going to go. So if people accepted it, I'd be like, why? And I'd probably not want to go.
Mhm.
That's a really interesting angle. I hadn't thought about that too. I mean, if people are using others to try and exploit them, maybe accepting 1-star people are okay, but
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah.
So then you guys were talking about another, actually, let me finish up your time in Greece. So you had this experience, you had booked out a month in Greece, traveled all the way there. After this experience, did you leave Greece immediately or did you end up doing anything else?
Yeah. So we basically found the cheapest flight home and then
It was-
made a road trip to get up to
It
there.
was the day that we left, we were in a bar with this other workawayer and we were all just like, wow, well, that was an experience. And my friend contacted me here in England, saying she was going home to Australia for 3 weeks. Could we dog sit for her? And it was those 3 weeks where we were in
Okay.
there. So it was really very serendipitous. So yeah, we looked for the cheapest flights and it was from Slovakia. So we made our way to Bratislava, and then did this. So we
Okay,
did manage to fall on our feet. It was all very okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it
But
all
if
worked
not,
out in the end.
I don't know what we would have done.
Yeah. We were kind of stuck.
Yeah. No, I mean, especially when you block out that much time. It's
Yeah.
it's a commitment, really. And then to be able to have to rearrange everything is terrible and spend the money to do that. You're lucky, you were fortunate that your friend was able to host you dog sitting. And I'm sure in a way you almost got a tiny taste of the dog sanctuary thing going to your friends too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I still got my dog.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't think I have too much else. The last question I have is, or second last is, have you guys tried any other host helper platforms like Woof or Worldpackers?
No, we haven't. I think if we did it again, we'd use one of those 2.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
as we say, we saw on Worldpackers the sanctuary, and they had much more honest reviews. So
Yeah, we would trust them more.
Yeah. No, actually, I forgot about them. Thank you for pointing them out because I want to do a couple of comparisons to other platforms in my video, and so that'll be one that I'll check out. And then the last question I have
So
about
the place that
No, you go. Sorry.
sorry, just the place we stayed was called Thomas Rescues in near Thessaloniki.
This is
so
the
if you look-
Greece spot?
Yeah.
Oh,
what
I
we
see.
did,
Okay.
we just typed that into Google and then tried to see what came up. And one of
Yeah.
the things was on Worldpackers.
They have an Instagram as well. You can follow them if you want.
Oh, what you mean the Worldpackers one or the one that you guys experienced the abuse at?
That one, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Could you guys send me that on WhatsApp or the email that when you forward that info? I'll make sure I send a checklist of stuff that I would love to grab from you guys. And then the last question I have is, how do you think Workaway could be improved?
Following up on safeguarding concerns, like we emailed them directly, not even just through the comment, but like through them directly and saying, hi, this is a safeguarding concern. So try and chase that up. he spent his time trying to chase it up via loads of different Greek animal sanctuaries. But you're a company, you have more resources, more people. Like, look that up, because if not, we're not going to be protected as workawayers. And what it's going to be a vicious cycle that you have people leaving negative reviews, but then you delete those negative reviews, so more people go, leave more negative reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, it's really unfortunate that it's not built better, because I think Workaway could be a beautiful platform where you do end up going to places like a beautiful dog sanctuary and you end up being treated properly. But at the end of the day, my personal opinion, and I've been doing investigation to try and prove this opinion wrong, but the more investigation I've done, it's actually solidified it more, is that Workaway is incentivizing people to not leave bad reviews because they're making more money and not showing those. It seems to be the case that if you know, a host has 100% 5-star reviews, it attracts more people. If they have you know, 75% 5-star reviews, but 25% of them say, hey, look, we're not being fed properly, we're not sleeping right, it's a mess, it's dirty, people aren't going to roll up to that place, right? And so I think Workaway discourages people being honest, and it's really unfortunate because it leads to situations like yours where you're looking to have a good time, you're looking to build a network in a way with, you know, the animal shelter, you're looking to travel on an affordable budget, and you don't get to do any of that. And not only that, you have this trip that kind of ends up becoming a nightmare and you get punished for it. So it's unfortunate that they've built it out that way, and I'm sorry you guys went through that. Oh, did they disconnect me? Oh, are you there? Okay, yay. I hope we didn't lose all of that. I don't know what happened. I think we should be fine. Anyway, I was just basically saying, like, it's just unfortunate the way the platform's built. You guys have been a huge help in sharing your story, and I think at the end of the day, hopefully what we'll be able to do is put together a video that prevents other people from running into situations like this. At least a few people not running into situations where they're used and taken advantage of and put in an uncomfortable situation where they can't speak the truth of what they've experienced. Maybe we'll be able to prevent a few people from following down that same road. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still so shocked and sorry about that person that pulled out yesterday.
No, I couldn't believe it. Like, I'll read you what she said. I'm going to include all of this, but it's completely censored and everything in the YouTube video. She wrote me literally half an hour before, and she wrote, Edwin, I'd like to tell you that I'm feeling a little anxious about this conversation. I started going through my memories and I realized I'm not ready to talk about this yet. I know it may sound a little exaggerated, but it was a truly traumatic experience. I thought I could talk to you about it, but as I was remembering it, I started to cry. I hadn't gone back through the memory until now, and I didn't know that it still made me feel so bad. I'm sorry, I really want to help you, but I feel quite vulnerable about it.
Heartbreaking, poor person.
I know.
At least we had each other.
That was it. Also,
Yeah.
I said, if I didn't have him, I think I would have just been stuck there, because he gave me the courage to leave, and I would have just stuck there every day, hating it, not having the courage to ask for days off, and not eating properly either. I would have just hated it all and cried myself to sleep if he didn't give me the courage to leave.
Wow. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys had each other too, especially because you were so far out in the boonies. You know, that's not a real safe place to be in any country. And you know, and especially like something I take for granted is I'm a 6'1" tall guy. It's easy for me to have a sense of safety out in public, but like if you just went alone, Roxy, you know, and you didn't have James to back you up too, it could be even more dangerous. Like it's sad. I even felt unsafe on my second Workaway because I was being screamed at. It's a long story, but essentially toward the end of it, I was literally being screamed at, and the person was starting to throw things. So even I felt unsafe at this place out in the middle of nowhere in the Netherlands. And I was like, how the fuck am I going to get here? Like, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, you know? I'm going to have to walk down the road with all my luggage for hours to get to any sort of transportation method.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's unfortunate. And, you know, yeah, I don't think I have too much else to say on that, but I'm definitely looking forward to putting this together And if you guys have anything else more that you want to share or add anything later, I'm kind of just chipping away at this video. My experience with Workaway was actually in July and then kind of part of August. And so I've been just like slowly chipping away at this thing. I'm probably not going to actually put it out till October. So there's still quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Send us what you need and then
Yeah, for sure.
we'll try and follow through.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll shoot you guys a checklist, and then when I build a draft of the video, I'll shoot that over too, and get your guys' thoughts on it, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, thank you guys.
Enjoy your
Say,
evening.
yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too. Cheers.